Hello, hello. This is Fake the Nation, where we talk about news, we talk about culture, and where we investigate Oprah, Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, and Bono for endorsing Kamala Harris in November. That's right. Trump's latest conspiracy theory says that they were secretly paid to endorse Kamala. I'm your host, Negin Farsad, and clearly that group of and billionaires really needed the extra scratch to make their endorsement. Trump has a point. If Bono's career doesn't work out, he'll have that extra money from the Kamala campaign to fall back on. It's a grift that simply makes sense. But I do think Trump needs to really have a daily reminder that he already won the presidency, so we can kind of relax on 2024. He made it. He made it, guys. Today, we'll talk about his other obsession, the white population of South Africa. We'll also talk about Biden. We'll ask why so many retirees are filing for Social Security on the early side. And finally, can this one calendar truly save your relationship? So many delicious discussions coming to us. And that's mainly because we have this just elegant panel assembled for you today. When I think of these two guys together, I just think the height of comedic elegance. We have a comedian who I've had the pleasure of working with so many times. He's so funny. It's one of the joys of my life is that I get to see great comedy. And here, this man is just an example of that. He's headlining at the Gramercy in New York City on May 29th. You can also see him at Houston's Punchline on May 30th and 31st. He is the excellent Hari Kondabolu. Hey, Hari.
Hello, Negin. How are you?
Oh my God. So great to have you. And I am also so excited for this other gentleman who I had the chance to tour with last summer. And we had such a delightful time. And he's a great hang, but an even better performer. Oh my God. And you can see him do a solo show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's called The House of Dylon. So titled because he is the exquisite Dylan Adler. Hey, Dylan.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, are you spelling House of Dylon still just Dylan? Are you spelling it like
It's
D-Y?
Yes, Dylan with one dash between the Y and L.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Dylan
Yeah.
with one dash.
That's
So
right.
if anyone is in Scotland over the summer, I'm going to say anywhere in the United Kingdom, they should make the trek to see you perform. And before we get into the show, I just want to thank everyone who supports the show on Patreon. This is our first show on this new feed, which should theoretically be the same feed as it always was. But if there are any glitches, you let me know and we will try and fix it. But hopefully this transition was smooth and without notice. And thanks again to the Patreon supporters for making this all happen, which they've been doing at patreon.com/Negin Farsad. But I'm I'm pink with I blush with the support. My cup runneth over. Thank you so much. Let us get into it with topic number one. Okay, you guys, so people retire. That's normal. But what's a little weird right now is that this year, over 275,000 more people have filed for Social Security than last year, which is up by 13%. And they're filing earlier than normal because most people wait until they're 70, but a lot of people are doing the 62, the 67, which are the other ages that, markers where you can file, because they're worried about just kerfuffles in Social Security payments. There's a lot of anxiety. I don't know, Hari, what do you think the retirees are anxious about?
Well, first of all, I feel bad just because, if they choose the earlier option, it's costing them tens of thousands, if not more, dollars for picking the earlier option instead of waiting throughout. And I just think about how my anxiety has cost me relationships, but never tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's brutal. It's such an unfair thing too, because it's almost like playing Let's Make a Deal, except behind door 47, it's either the money you're entitled or an uncertain future, and that's a lot. That's a lot to put on a decision.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dylan, what do you think is going on?
No, I agree. It's the heightened anxiety of it all, spending more money. It's just, no, I agree. Anxiety has cost me hookups. But yes, so I feel bad, and I would say it's never cost me that much money. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too because when you sort of dig in, there's a lot of people that are doing like spousal, who's gonna wait until they're 70. So, okay, I didn't know this. I just like reading about this phenomenon. Was very helpful to me because when retirement comes, I mean, I'm like so young, so like that I can't even like picture when that's coming. But when retirement comes, apparently you can file for Social Security as early as 62. But if you do that, you're going to make less money. Then the
Right.
next like number they sort of push you to is 67. If you wait till you're 67, then you'll earn more money. And then if you wait till you're 70, you'll earn even the amount rises. Right. So from 62 to 67, it's a 30% difference. That's pretty fucking big. And then from
Yeah.
67 to 70, there's an 8% difference. So there's a real incentive to wait till 70. And what's interesting about the anxiety is that it was started by Doge and and all of the news. Apparently now, like, things have calmed down and people are getting their checks. And I don't know, according to this article, it sounded like it sort of had subsided, but the idea that like people are taking money out now because they're just like, well, what if they just cut Social Security altogether and I never get money? Let me just at least get some money now. Like that's the anxiety by which some people are operating. The funny thing is, in an effort to slim down the price tag on Social Security, they've actually increased our costs because now more people are filing earlier. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that makes
Do
everyone a fucking idiot.
comedians do comedians retire or do we just die?
Oh, that's a great. I mean,
Yeah.
Dylan, as the youngest member of this panel, what do you feel like any kind of like that we die or retire?
You know, I think of Joan Rivers, who did it up until she died. I think of I can't I know some comedians who retire and they have happy life. I think it's half and half who retire and just chill, and then some who keep going until they hit the grave.
I know, Hari. What is going to happen to you? Do you think?
I brought this subject up, so I deserve to answer this question. I think that I think I'm pretty prudent. Read cheap, so I feel like I'll be okay. I think I'll make it at least until the end of the world. I'd like to think I could beat the end of the world.
Nice. Okay. That's so hopeful. That's great.
Yes.
Mr. Optimism.
Yeah. No, it's so funny. I mean, even just like reading this, I was like, oh, that's funny. I mean, I don't think about this like as a comedian that there would be a regular payment that would arrive from somewhere. You know what I mean?
On time.
Is that what it's like have a W-2 job? Is retirement? Is that what it's like? That sounds fucking nice.
The first taste of not freelancing for once.
It'll be my corporate phase is when I start collecting Social Security checks. All right, folks, you let me know. Do you know anyone who is opting to take their money earlier? I'm so curious because of just anxiety. Are you among the 13%? Now, before we get out of this section, I wanted to give you guys a little surprise quiz with some demographic questions that I'm just curious to hear your thoughts about. Okay, so this is just you tell me what you think the answer is. Dylan, we'll start with you. I want to, okay, so give me your best guess. What percentage of Americans would donate an organ for a loved one? What do you think, Dylan?
Wow. For a loved one, I would say, I'm optimistic. Maybe 40%.
Okay. And Hari, what's your number?
It's just a survey, so it's like it's not that they will, it's what they claim
it's what
they
will.
Claim,
yeah. So,
90%.
Guys, Dylan, Dylan, you're going to get this point because it was 39% of Americans said that they would donate an organ for a loved one. Which because this is just a survey, so you can say whatever the fuck, right? But only 39%, so it's a pretty honest group of people. I mean, I'm not trying to like act like I'm great, but I feel like I would donate an organ for a loved one. You know what I mean? I'm one of those
Yeah.
39%.
Depends which loved one, though, right?
And it has to happen while alive, right?
While I'm alive. Oh, right. Yes. I was like, wait, while
Yeah.
they're. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if I'm gone, help yourself. Like I don't have
Right,
much of
right,
a
right, right. You know, and
Yeah.
like they could just call dibs or whatever, like however that works
call
out.
Call
dibs.
dibs.
On your all right, let's go to another one. What percentage would share a windfall of $100,000? So, what percentage of the population said that if they got a windfall of $100,000 would share that with others? Hari, what do you think?
Definitely less than the organ thing. 5%.
Okay, Dylan.
I'd go with maybe 12%.
Guys, you guys are fucking assholes to the American people because the number is 82% said that
Oh,
they
they're liars. They're
liars
liars.
of
Much of that
$100,000 with close
That's-
friends and
that's-
family.
See, that's an example of because they were asked the question and they don't have the money in hand,
Right,
they will say
right.
absolutely anything.
They would think of them. They're like, I'm magnanimous, of course, and I would share. But I also think that the number 100,000. It's like that joke in Succession that's like, oh, like the cousin Greg comes and it's like, oh, they're saying that they'll give me $5 million if I basically shut up or whatever, and what's his face says, Ken says, oh, $5 million is not enough. Oh, you're like poor, basically, And so I'm like, $100,000. I don't know if it is the same windfall as it was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Because I can be like $100,000, but that probably will take care of some student loans.
Right.
And like a handful of car payments, like for an average middle class person. You know what I mean?
Plus, it's not 100,000. Like after taxes, what? That's more like 60, maybe.
Right.
65?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's one more for the two of you. What percentage of people would stand in line at the DMV for someone they cared about? Standing in line for the DMV for someone they cared about. Hari, what do you think?
Okay, I'm going to say, because I was so off the last one, 60%.
Okay, Dylan.
Because I'm hopeful and you're changing my heart, 80%.
Okay, well, you guys are inching up there. This is 53% said they would endure waiting in line for at the DMV for someone they cared about. This is not a question that has ever been asked of me. I've never been asked to stand in the DMV for anyone. Have you guys ever been asked to do that?
No. Can you hold someone else's place? Is that allowed?
I mean, I think of it as like, I have been asked to pick up someone's prescription at the drugstore,
Sure.
which is like way less of a burden. But I feel like it's like that kind of thing where it's like, I'm incapacitated for some reason. Can you go to the DMV for me? But then if the DMV is like, why is that person incapacitated, but they want to drive? I don't know. So maybe this doesn't make sense. Like,
I've
why
actually
would
never heard of that happening ever before. Someone standing in line for the DMV.
Right. It's on someone's behalf. That actually, like the entire premise of this question, I have a strongly worded email that needs to go out to the Washington Post for this survey. Okay. All right, folks, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, there will be more. And we are back and we're ready for topic number 2. Okay. So after revoking the refugee program, Trump has made an exception for South Africa's white Afrikaner population. He cited claims of white genocide and that the government is just taking the land of Afrikaner farmers. So 60 of them, out of over, I think, 2 or 3 million, arrived in the United States and got the full welcome from the State Department. I guess my question is, what gives? What do you think?
I mean, first, are they really refugees? They came to the country on a charter jet. That is not refugee behavior. Like all those Haitians that got turned away, in Miami back in the 90s, they weren't on a yacht. They were hanging on to dear life on like a fishing vessel. Like there's just the aesthetics of it don't
they
work.
do not match. Yeah, I know. Like I've had refugees in my family, and this, first of all, when they arrived at the refugee camp that they were staying at, that they were checking into or whatever, it was like not, there was no greeters. This was they were refugees in France. This one family of ours, and there were no greeters. It was real chaotic, and no one was happy to see them. So that was like how it went down. This was like there's a press conference, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, more fucking Iranians, all right, you know? So I don't know. Dylan, what do you think?
You know, I saw the pictures of them arriving. I am going to say that was some good acting and crying. And I think they had tear stick to make them cry and seem more desperate. And I say performance well done. Good acting.
I love that. Like, if you don't have something positive to say, make something up that's positive. Dylan, you really proved that old adage. No, but I mean, okay. And look, you have an incredible point here, because when we look at this sort of this idea of a white genocide, so South Africa released crime figures based on race for they don't release crime figures based on race, but some analysts have been able to figure this out. So 6,953 people were murdered between October and December of 2024. Okay, just to give you an idea. And of those, 12 were killed in farm attacks. And of the 12, one was a farmer, 5 were farm dwellers, and 4 were employees. And of the non-farmers, it looks like most of those other people were Black. So the idea that like there's a white genocide is just not borne out by the numbers or any kind of like fact checking.
I mean, this is history not turning a certain community's way and them trying to gain refuge. And there's precedent, because, the white South African population were in power under apartheid until the 90s. Now they're seeking refugee status. Now things aren't going their way. And the precedents for this would be after World War II, Argentina and Brazil took in quote unquote German refugees, also known as war criminals. It's called the old Eichmann Switcheroo. And that was a joke. All that was I was talking about Nazis going to Argentina and Brazil. That is not the same thing. Yeah. I'm just comparing white South Africans to war criminals.
Right. And I mean,
everyone's like, yes. Okay, Hari, where is this going? You're delivering this in a newsreader tone, but clearly the Eichmann Switcheroo is not a thing.
But like, because right. So like, and Afrikaners were, by the way, Dutch, French, and German people who, came to South Africa at the turn of the century or whatever. Like, they were early settlers and pushed the Black population out. And we obviously all know the apartheid movement and all this stuff. So like, they are a minority population, as they have been, though, despite their many years, decades of ruling. And so I think a lot of this has to do with Elon Musk, because I don't know. I mean, well, it has to do with Elon Musk. It has to do with Tucker Carlson, who gave these people a platform to talk about it in 2018, which I think is when Trump first heard about it. And I think the interesting thing is obviously that is to like ban refugee status and then just make it available for like one specific white group. It's just so out loud obvious. It's just like a fun, brazen, crazy way to handle, it's just to be openly racist.
Yeah.
Elon Musk his family. I mean, his father, I think, owned some kind of mineral mine in like wealthy white South African. Elon Musk makes me think that Nelson Mandela was a little too nice when he got out of prison.
By the way, Elon Musk is technically, I think, English or something and not Afrikaner.
Right.
And also German too, right? He's all the bad things. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because he also cited he wants Starlink to be available in South Africa,
Right.
and he said that because the country has racist ownership laws, Starlink will not be available. He said something like, "I'm, quote, not allowed to operate in South Africa simply because I'm not black." And then they actually looked into it, and the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa that would handle like a Starlink contract told the BBC that he had never even submitted an application for a license.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. So it's unclear whether or not any of that's true, but they do have like certain, I think, what we would call DEI laws on the books about like there being kind of an ownership of from historically disadvantaged groups in companies that they work with. But again, who knows? Because they never actually submitted an application. So him not being allowed to operate Starlink there is also untrue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and this was the last thing I was going to say about this Afrikaners thing. The funny thing is, apparently, most of them were like, "No, like we don't want to go to America. Like our point is, we want to stay here. We just want we want we want an international platform and people to think of us as like an oppressed victim, so that we get more help. But we don't. We have like no interest in going to the United States."
They're like, actually, wait, no. You guys are a shit show right now. We want to stay here and continue to oppress people, but like also like we're like we're
to
like
the
victims.
extent we can. Yeah.
As much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was the other little fun detail about this avocado story. Okay, let's move on to the other big story of the week. So there was a lot of Biden in this last week in the news. Here's a new book called Original Sin by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, which is basically an accounting of how Biden's staff concealed his declining health and still encouraged him to run for re-election. And of course, put us on a course for Kamala Harris running in this impossible campaign for presidency with just a couple of months before losing. And then that news of that book and the revelations from that book was then followed by a really sad and super awful diagnosis of an aggressive prostate cancer. Now, putting aside this diagnosis, which is just really sad, and I don't feel like I'm not, it's not like, hey, I'm actually pro cancer. Like there's nothing for us to debate about there. I wonder with this book and with Democrats still reckoning with what happened in 2024, are these conversations about Biden and what happened in 2024 are still conversations that you want to have?
I don't want to have them, but we need to have them because it's shameful. Like when you're the president, your health matters because it affects the whole country. And the fact that they would hide things that not only would potentially, if he dies in office when it could have been prevented if we had a president in place before then, where he could actually like retire and not stop the flow of the country, like that's a big deal. And also the idea that they knew that he was struggling, yet they were trying to keep him in power and Weekend at Bernie's him at that point. Like it's ridiculous. Like it cost an election. There was no chance once Kamala, like as much as we tried to convince ourselves that there was a chance, that we were so behind at that point, and there was a new candidate all of a sudden. That's irresponsible. That's shameful. Like, it has to be. It's not something we want to talk about. It's something we should talk about.
Dylan, what do you think?
No, I agree. I agree that it was irresponsible. There should have been at least transparency. If it's like, let's be honest, I'm not sure that I can continue. And I think it is irresponsible. And it was like, incredibly last minute.
I mean, it's interesting because one of the things
switcheroo.
Right.
The old switcheroo.
The old, what did you say?
It's a different type of switcheroo. This is not the same switcheroo.
I think, okay, so I had some interesting thoughts about this because, one of the backlash on the book is that why is Jake Tapper benefiting financially from a story that he suppressed as a journalist? Like, why wasn't this coming out when he was, in a position to journalism on it? And as they say, And I think the interesting thing about that is, and his response to that, by the way, is like, I didn't suppress anything. I was being lied to as a journalist. Now my feeling is, I remember talking about Biden being old and in decline for like 9 months or something. Like, I feel like that was the story nearly every day. So I want to say, in as much as that they did try and suppress stuff, like there was a conversation about him having to use, potentially use a wheelchair in his second term if he won, and all of this stuff. Like, okay, yeah, all that stuff did not come out, definitely. The fact that he didn't recognize George Clooney, I think George Clooney ended up writing an op-ed, like saying like, I want him to drop out and all this stuff, right? I mean, yeah, okay, they didn't mention not recognizing George Clooney, which is, I think, which is like a known test, a known cognitive test, is like, recognize George Clooney.
Wait, so Joe Biden didn't register he was talking to George Clooney?
Yeah, like, because I think they did like a fundraising thing together, and there was a minute where he like didn't know who he was talking to, or something like that. Even though
that's kind of hilarious. George is so petty. He's like, he did not know my name. He should not out.
He's out of his mind.
He's out of his mind. Everyone knows who I am. I'm writing an op-ed.
Right. So, but to be fair to everybody, apparently they had known each other for years or whatever. It wasn't the first time. But I do think that George Clooney should be on every cognitive test. But I think that, okay, so there were like these revelations that we didn't hear about and are coming out in the book. And there are descriptions of like how, he worked sort of like a 10 to 4:30 day, or whatever, like more details about how they ran the presidency during these 4 years, which were, not fucking cool. That said, I really don't think they did a great job of suppressing the story, because I do remember talking about it literally every single day. So like, the debate was just the straw that broke the camel's back, because we had seen enough up until the debate to talk about it constantly. And then the debate happened, and then it was like, all right, now we've seen it for an hour, or however long those debates, 90 minutes. And now we really need to get him out of the situation. So part of me is like, is a little like not remembering what it felt like to be alive during that primary, during that primary season, which was nonstop. He's old. He fell. He did this. He flubbed his line. I mean, it was nonstop. My question is, like, at this point, do you feel like we've learned the lesson? I mean, are we in a good position? I mean, we lost. So like,
yeah, but we elected another ancient man. There's no
right. Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. But do you feel like going into 2028 that like we will have, that ancient men are done?
I mean, I don't think there's ancient men. I mean, unless Bernie is running and people are doing that again, which I don't think makes sense at this point. But I don't think we've learned a lesson. It depends on who's there at the time. I mean, even Biden the first time around, I wasn't crazy about.
Me neither.
Like, yeah, like it was kind of like, this man is already very old. He already showed signs of like cognitive failure, like when he was with Obama as the vice president. Like, he had no self-control. He was just absolutely, he was Uncle Joe. He's not a president.
Yeah, the gaff machine and whatever. Yeah,
because he was just completely oblivious to like, to what current day trends were and what he couldn't say, or who he couldn't touch, like the whole thing. So I feel like, I don't know if we've learned. I don't think the Democratic Party as an institution seems to learn in a regular cycle. Like it just doesn't happen.
Okay, so I'm just to throw, this is my last question on this is going to go to you, Dylan. I have assembled a list of the Democratic bench of people that may or may not run for president, and this is a completely like Negin verified list, which is to say nobody else may agree with me on this list, but I want you, because oh my gosh, because it's only 3 years away. I want you to just pick who do you think is the candidate, and then we are going to come back to this list in 2028. And then we're going to see if you were right. Okay. This is all about whether or not you're going to be right. Okay.
All right. I have intuition. Let's do
So
this.
the list includes Kamala, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, Wes Moore, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania, Gretchen Whitmer, Andy Bashir, Kentucky, Cory Booker. Of those names, who are you
Okay.
giving it to?
Half of those bitches I've never heard of. So I am gonna say, you know, I think Kamala and Pete Buttigieg are
like running as a ticket together.
running as a ticket
co-headlining?
together, co-headlining. I mean, Pete Buttigieg. I mean, I'm wondering if Pete Buttigieg. He's very middle of the road. Very, I don't know. Such a boring white gay guy. Maybe the country is like,
that's
sure,
what we
whatever.
want. We want a let's go back to our roots, to the boring white gay man.
To the boring white gay man like Lincoln, who was a white gay guy. So, I don't know. I guess those jumped out. AOC, I think would be great, but I think the anyone who's in the middle is like, I don't know. Right? AOC is seen as like
a little left.
Yeah, a little like far left, but I do love AOC a lot.
Wait, does she turn 35 the next election? How old is she now?
I think she does, right? And that's why she's on my list.
Oh, she's 35 right now. That's crazy.
Yeah. She's eligible, guys. She's eligible.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's just, I mean, I kind of doubt it. That seemed like just a ridiculous one for me to toss in there. But but those other ones felt like,
but I'm down. I'll party for her. Absolutely.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm totally on board for AOC.
Yes. I love her.
Now, before we leave topic number 2, there's just one little thing that I didn't talk about last week, and we have to give it a quick mention because I forgot to talk about American Pope last week. So let's catch up really quick with some Pope talk. When he was announced, I was like so excited. For some reason, I was just like, yes, Chicago Pope, yes, sportsman. Oh my God, I'm proud to be an American. I was just all over this pick, into it so hard. What did you guys think of Pope Leo?
I wanted Filipino Pope so bad. I wanted Filipino Pope. I was really rooting for him, so I was upset. I couldn't be happy for Leo. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So Chicago, but I mean, was Chicago Pope like at least in your top 3?
I didn't even know he was in the running. I was just
I gotta be honest. I actually didn't think an American had a chance, but it was just sort of delightful to me that we had like an example of because he strikes me as like rather delightful, and it was just nice to have some elite leadership of any kind anywhere that was American that was delightful. Hari, what did you think?
I don't know, man. It's just something about like being Pope. I thought would have some mystique to it. But like seeing those pictures of him at the White Sox game with a dog and a beer. I don't even know if he was holding a dog and a beer, but it looked like he was holding it. Yeah, it's like there's some mystique. If somebody like your uncle could have gone to middle school with, it just feels too close to be Pope. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, totally. Like popes shouldn't be like normal dudes who like went to Villanova.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so true. I really did think it was like some holy European thing, but it's like any bitch can be the Pope.
That's what it literally.
That's also what's so great about it. Any bitch can be the Pope. Like, you know what I mean?
But I mean, Pope Francis, like, didn't he like work in Argentina in poor communities for like decades? I don't know what this.
Leo.
No, that was the one before. That was.
Leo did a similar thing. He worked in Peru. He has like Peruvian.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. That
he
sounds
did a little fucking, angelic floating in the air fucking shit in Peru.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not being fair because I'm like, but 20 years ago we went to a baseball game.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, and he did it in an accent. He did it in a fucking,
This
Go
bitch
Sox!
likes deep dish, a Pope who likes deep dish.
If he was a Cubs fan, I would be disappointed. He was a White Sox fan, so I give him credit for representing the South Side. I think that's cool.
Oh my God, I love the idea of the Pope like getting like deep dish from Chicago to the
Yeah.
Vatican somehow. I have, and it's funny because he's like, this country we're in, Italy, is it called Italy? It's fine. Can I get my pizza from Chicago?
And like he's giving his speeches like, oh my God, I'm the Pope now. Can you believe it? It's so cool.
Okay, fun fact as we wrap this up, the last time we talked about this Pope was in 2023. Not this Pope, sorry. The last time we talked about the papacy at all was in 2023 because Pope Francis had a little summit on sex, whatever, where he gathered a bunch of young people, including non-Catholics, some Muslims in there, who quizzed him on sex. And he was asked about Tinder, and he said, it's normal. Young people have that eagerness to meet each other, and that's very good. So, and he was basically like, super sex positive throughout this entire thing. And it's one of the reasons we loved a Pope Francis. So he wasn't like trying to shame anyone about sex. And I just thought that was fun. We talked about that in 2023.
Also, the last time I heard about Pope Francis was when he said "frogaccini," the faggot in Italian. I think it wasn't like derogatory, but by accident. But every gay group chat I was in, it changed to "frogaccini." So that was the last I heard.
You know, I recognize that that's like a heinous slur, but it sounds it sounds like a mocha, like it sounds like a frappuccino.
It sounds
version.
like a Starbucks drink. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So like a little chocolate in it,
a derogatory way. I think it just came out, but it was like funny in like every
what do you
group
mean?
chat.
I mean, first of all, I love that you're defending his use of this slur.
I'm a Frogaccini apologist, okay?
You really are. Yeah. Okay, better Dylan than either me or Hari. All right, let us move on to topic number 3. Okay, we're going to dip into culture with a little calendar talk. Apparently, there's a calendar that will save your relationship and your family. These are a category of pricey digital calendars. There's a couple companies that do them, and they help you visualize everything that's going on with your family. They're color-coded, so it helps you visualize the sort of like military level strategy involved in running the affairs of a small family in modern day Western capitalism. Now, Dylan, you don't have a kid. What do you think? No, Hari, we'll start with you. You have a child. I'm assuming you have scheduling difficulties with your child and your schedule and your wife's schedule. And oh my God, what do you think of this kind of device?
Well, I'm single now, so where was this?
Jesus, sorry.
Where was this calendar 2 years ago? Is my question. Where were you when I needed you, calendar?
This could have saved it.
Oh no, I blush. I'm sorry, I didn't know. But it okay. But I mean, the thing is, you almost need a calendar more now. Right?
Yes,
because it's like
I don't quite get it because it's why is it better than the Google Calendar? That's what I don't get. Is it the color coded part?
I know. Okay, thank you. No, I don't know if it's like I'm a Luddite and that's why I don't get it, but I just didn't see. You know, like I remember growing. I mean, I grew up in an immigrant family, so we didn't have anything like a chore wheel. I just lived with fear, and I knew how to do stuff. You know, but I remember going to like my friends' houses, the generational many generations removed Americans. And they all had like fun chore wheels, and they would stick pieces of paper in a wheel, and I don't know. And I was sort of like, well, that. You know, I just remember thinking like, oh, that's so efficient or whatever. Like everybody knows what they're doing, I guess, whatever. And it seemed like useful to me. And I'm sort of like, that feels like because part of the thing that this calendar does is not only shares everyone's calendar, the soccer, the appointments, whatever, but also like will designate the chores for the kids. And like apparently one of the things that's popular is the kids like to like cross off that they did the chore, which I think the idea of crossing things off is very old. It's not something that was invented by this digital calendar. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we've had that technology with pen and paper. And so I'm not sure. Yeah, I think, well, the idea behind these calendars is to externalize the primary caregiver's brain, and this is according to one of the makers, and put them into a system that everyone could see. I I feel like, in a lot of couples, there's maybe someone who ends up kind of like doing more of the stuff,
Right.
And I don't know, Dylan, like maybe you even seen some of this from your own parents, or your own friends. You feel like something like this could help people?
I think this kind of thing could help people. I tried to read the article to see how the calendar works. I was hit with a paywall.
Oh,
But
okay.
I do think that it could help. I don't think it could save a family. It's not gonna prevent infidelity or whatever, but I think it could definitely help. But I shudder at the thought of my calendar being filled with like my mom's schedule, like lunch with Auntie Mimi, pick up Hannah, go to and then it's like, I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to see that on my calendar. And like,
Well, we also like had this conversation a little bit with there's with your following people on your phone, like having people's phone, what's that thing called when you have people in the you can see their whereabouts on your phone?
oh yeah.
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 And that like for some Gen Z couples, like that's a sign of like getting serious or whatever. And for me, I was just like, oh, I don't want my husband to know where I am during the day. Like that feels, and it's not because I'm cheating on him, right? It's just like I'm honestly like probably doing stuff that's like I'm embarrassed. I don't even want to talk about it, Like I don't want to talk about
Mhm.
like why I walked into the cookie shop and then I walked in there again 2 hours later. Like I just don't want to have this conversation. You know what I mean? It's like up to me, the poor
Yes.
decisions that I make throughout the day. And like, no, I don't need to be judged for it. And so there's something about this calendar that makes me feel that way as well, where I'm like, I think let me worry about my like appointment to get my earwax removed, and then and just let me throw in there that
Yes.
my daughter has soccer or whatever. Like it just like I don't need everyone to like fucking know. And so that
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
that's part of it that feels a little embarrassing to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hari, do you have those like vulnerabilities?
I mean, I'm still trying to get my head around the calendar because you can buy like the calendar, like an external version that you can put in the hallway.
Yeah, with like a naked hot fireman or whatever, like one of those.
Well, no, but like this digital calendar,
Yeah.
like you
Okay.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, and so like you can put this digital calendar in the hallway so everyone can see it and know everyone's schedule. But I'm like, isn't that just a calendar? Like that's
Right. Yeah.
that's a calendar.
Yeah.
They just recreated. It's just a
It's just
calendar.
a calendar. So your position is that there's like a little bit of there's technology solving a technology issue that we didn't need technology to solve.
I feel that the level of coordination and stuff that's involved doesn't need another device that I have a feeling people are going to purchase and then stop using.
Well, one of the
Like,
things I talked about in the piece, which I made me just start sweating, was one
yeah,
of the moms really got into the calendar's functionality and joined a Facebook group with other moms talking about how best to use the technology of the calendar. And that made
right.
me just give me hives because I was like, oh God, I don't want to like do a deep dive on like another thing just to do the scheduling for my like that
Yeah.
made me
Right.
ill.
Yeah.
you know it's like technology has created a lot of problems, and then technology is the thing that solves the problem it created. Like we're always kind of in a cycle with technology. My last feeling on this is, and like I don't know if you feel like this, Hari, with your kid, but like I had a moment recently where I just felt like, oh, I think my kid is just overscheduled and I'm just going to pull back. And some of her time is just going to be her being like, I'm bored or whatever. And that's
Right.
great. You know what I mean? And like she needs some of that time. So maybe some of this isn't like something that a calendar can fix, but our expectations of what childhood should look like can fix. What do you think? Not to give you a leading question. You don't have to agree with me.
No, I'm just trying. I'm trying to. I mean, the calendar's purpose. How much of it is about managing your kids' time, and how much of it is about managing your own time?
And how much is and I think according to the calendar makers, how much of it is making the primary caregiver or whatever calendar keeper less of a primary and kind of like spread the burden.
Because I mean, right now, in terms of the kid stuff, like my kid is 4, and like his schedule is open. Like he has,
It gets bad.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's why I'm like trying to figure out like your question, just because like right now his schedule's open. You know, he's open for bookings right now. I submit his avails every week, and he's free. So,
Right.
but if it does, it gets real busy once he turns.
I mean,
6, 7,
again,
8.
I don't think like it gets busy, but it's like, doesn't need to fucking get busy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. Well, I am going to throw it to the listeners. What do you guys think about these calendars? By the way, one of them costs just a cool $700. So it's also a financial commitment.
Wow.
All right. Oh my God, what a delight you both have been. And I would love for the people of Fake Nation to be able to follow you in wonderful things that you do. Hari, where do they do that?
They can follow me at Hari Kondabolu, which means that they're going to have to go to Google and type in Hari and the word comedian, maybe Indian comedian, and then options will show up. Because that is easier than trying to figure out how to spell at Hari Kondabolu. But I'm at Hari Kondabolu at Instagram.
Although I do want to say that Kondabolu does have a, like, give it first your best phonetic shot, and I feel like it's going to come up.
It's not that. HARIKONDABOLU. It sounds like a lot, but you get the hang of it.
You really do, guys. You really do.
Yeah.
And see him live. It's such a treat. And, you know, you have a few opportunities around the country, so do that. Dylan Adler, where do they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Dylan Adler _ or TikTok at Dylan Adler 7. I wasn't fast enough to get the not _7, but that's where you can find me. And I'll be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this August in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for your run in Edinburgh. It's going to be so incredible, and I can't wait for the people of Scotland to finally discover you if they have not already. But folks, go, and we have some Scottish listeners, I happen to know. So go see Dylan at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. As for me, you know where to find me and all the things that I do, and I want to thank everyone who makes the show a possibility. That's the wonderful Andrew McGuire. Thanks so much to Gaby Alter for our theme music. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email us at fakethenationpodcast@gmail.com. And let's see, I think, and you can again support the show at patreon.com/Farsad. And otherwise, we'll be back in your earballs next week.